Guyana stands as a gem with its available vast arable land and abundant water resources in CARICOM. With the Caribbean's excessive food import bill, which stands at more than $4 billion per year, the country is bolstering its ability to feed not only itself, but perhaps the entire CARICOM. In this week's edition of Guyana 411, we examine the Mahaica-Maiconia-Barry Agricultural Development Authority, MMA-ADA, and its role in agricultural development with the possibilities of Guyana feeding the Caribbean. I am Shivani Rampersad and this is Guyana 411. Stay tuned. MMA-ADA in Region 5 can be recognized as the premier agricultural district, which can ensure the adequate production of food to satisfy the nation's need.
The MMA-ADA is a statutory organization established by Act No. 27 of 1977 of Parliament. It is bounded on the east by the Berbice River, west by the Mahaica River, north by the Atlantic, and south by the upper reaches of the main rivers, Barry, Maikoni, and Mahaica. Tasked with the responsibilities of implementing the programs to realize Guyana's objective of reclaiming its name, the breadbasket of the Caribbean, is longtime agriculturist and sworn land surveyor Aubrey Charles, the authority's general manager. Charles explains the roles of the authority.
Currently, our mandate at the MMA is to maintain all drainage and irrigation works throughout Region Number 5. Incidentally, the MMA area coincides with the boundaries of Region Number 5. Apart from the maintenance of drainage and irrigation infrastructure, we also have the responsibility for the distribution of state lands in the region. Any person or farmer who requires state land for farming, of cattle rearing, the agency which they are required to contact for such land is the MMA. We have 4 broad divisions. One, the Lands and Surveys Division. 2, the General Admin Division. 3, the Drainage and Irrigation Division. And 4, the Mechanical Division. The Drainage and Irrigation Division has a pivotal role to play as it relates to the maintenance as well as construction of new works, the maintenance of drainage and irrigation works, as well as the construction of new works within the region. The Lands and Surveys Department, there is where persons who require state lands, they will contact that division. They would be advised as to the process as it relates to application for state land. And that division more or less process the application and communicate with the farmer or the applicant as to the status of their application. The mechanical department or division, it lends support to the work of the Drainage and Irrigation Division. There is where all the machines, the heavy-duty machines, excavators, bulldozers, graders, drag lines, they do all the repairs there so as to support the DNI division in its maintenance program.
The establishment and efficient management of the agricultural scheme can be credited for the changing fortunes of Region 5 and moving rice and cattle production across the country from minimal levels to being a major player in food security. rice has played a major role in the authority's scheme of things.
Rice area in the region, where in the three broad geographical areas, that is the Berbice Abari, the Abari Maikoni, and the Maikoni Mahaico, the rice areas combined is approximately 90,000 acres. Approximately 90,000 acres. And we in Region 5, we account for about 45% of the national production of paddy in the country. We also boast the largest cattle population in the country, and this is because of the drainage and irrigation works which were put in place by the MMA. Just mention that the region number 5 is a rice growing area, and prior to the establishment of MMA, feasibility studies were carried out, and they, based on those studies, they realized that the region number 5 had the potential to be one of the leading regions in the production of rice. So the government approached the Inter-American Development Bank for funding to construct a network of drains and canals throughout the region. That funding was made available, and that is how the MMA was established as the executing agency for the drainage and irrigation works.
Among the roles of the MMA-ADA is the provision of arable lands to farmers. Farmers are required to produce a proposal outlining the use for the required land.
We have NARI. They work along with rice farmers throughout the region. So I am aware that sometimes they have trials. They will have sessions where workshops where rice farmers, they will identify rice farmers, and rice farmers will attend those workshops. They have trial plots they have in the region here, and they will explain to farmers the various techniques and so on, when to broadcast, when to throw fertilizer, the water management and so on.
The MMA also collaborates with the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority and other sister agencies when the need arises.
The investments in the MMA have paid dividends and continue to pay, though not at the expected levels. The light that continues to shine is in the rice industry, which has seen the increase of rice production from approximately 12 bags of paddy per acre to almost double that amount currently.
The works were to be done in 3 phases. Phase 1, between the Berbice and the Abari. Phase 2, between the Abari and the Maikoni. And Phase 3, between the Maikoni and the Mahaico rivers. That was how it was planned to execute the drainage and irrigation work. Now only Phase 1 works has been completed. And that is the a network of drains, canals, conservancy, structures. All of those were done between 1978 and 1988. Primary and secondary drainage and irrigation works. And because of the reliability of drainage and irrigation, you found that prior to the works, where the yield was roughly between 10 and 12 bags per acre, we are averaging in Region 5 now in excess of 30 bags per acre. And that came about because of the works which were executed. It has the level of the productivity level has risen, and overall the production for the region rose to the extent that we are now the leading region in terms of cattle and paddy cultivation.
While there are many success stories emanating from the MMA ADA, it has and continues to see its fair share of challenges and failures.
Minister of Agriculture Noel Holder details some of the challenges faced by the Agricultural Authority.
Phase 1 of the MMA, which covered Abari, Berbice, within the conservancy, irrigation, drainage, has been highly successful. So much so that Region 5 is now the biggest agricultural producing region in the entire country. However, there has been no attempt to keep the rates of land rentals and the costs of drainage and irrigation, or the payment for the cost of the irrigation, in line with inflation. The result of that is where MMA used to be a source of income to the government, it is now taking money out of the government to survive. $237 or thereabouts $1 million out of the budget for this year. So we really have to look at raising rates to proper levels. Farmers now are paying, I think, at MMA $2,500 per acre per year. That works out to 1 bear per acre per month, you know what I mean? So it's really ridiculous.
The MMA General Manager explains why work on the second phase of the agricultural district have not yet started.
Those works cost a lot of money. And I guess in the first place, that is why the government of Guyana had approached the Inter-American Development Bank to get international funding to execute those works. And that was completed. But the phase 2 and the phase 3, I know recently we had made a submission to the Ministry of Finance through our ministry, the Ministry of Agriculture, for funding. That would have been for international funding. But that was sometime during late last year that was done. I guess that is in the pipeline for funding to carry out the 2 remaining phases.
The Agriculture Minister addresses the need for self-sufficiency if phases 2 and 3 are to be able to receive funding from the government or any international lending agency.
On the larger front, to get MMA has 3 phases: Abari Berbice, which is installed, and you have Maikoni, Abari, and Mahika Maikoni. The same things need to be done in those areas. To do that, you need funding. To get funding, you will go to the international agencies, IDB or World Bank or whoever, who will fund you probably 80%, but you have to find your 20%. That 20% is supposed to be found from the surpluses of phase 1. But as you see, they're taking money from the Treasury instead of putting money in or having a fund to get phase 2 and phase 3 going. And there's the dilemma.
Minister Holder speaks of the discrepancies that are occurring in terms of farmers subletting the plots they were granted by the MMA ADA.
Some of these people are also renting those lands for $40,000 and $20,000 a crop. That's $40,000 an acre. And that money is going not into the kitty. So, I mean, it's ridiculous. And that's illegal, by the way. The Act doesn't allow that. And the leases that they have don't allow subletting.
How does the government plan to deal with that?
I think cabinet is considering it. Well, the breaching, that's straightforward. MMA should come down on them. That's not a government thing, that's the MMA thing. They should really enforce.
The MMA Phase 1 is quickly running out of serviced lands for farmers, with just about 15,000 acres of semi-developed lands available. It is therefore imperative that efforts be made to bring on stream the other 2 phases of this productively successful agricultural innovation. However, what happens going forward is as dependent on the actions of the farmers, lessees, as much as it is dependent on the actions of the management of the MMA and the government.
Despite its challenges, Region 5, the region which the MMA-ADA services, has become the largest producer of rice, which is important for food security in Guyana and also contributes in foreign exchange earnings with rice exportations. By extension, it is a stepping stone to make Guyana the breadbasket of the Caribbean. That has brought us to the end of Guyana 411 for this week. Check out our other programs on our website. We are also on Facebook and YouTube. I am Shivani Rampasad, reminding you to eat healthy and stay strong. Have a great week ahead.